Your phone buzzes at 9:16 on a Friday morning. Your bonus just landed, $24,000. For about 30 seconds, you feel rich. Then you open another tab. A watch you've been staring at for 6 months, $11,800. You add it to the cart. Your finger sits over the button. Then you stop. Not because you can't afford it, because for the first time you ask a different question. Not, can I buy this? But, what happens to this money after I spend it? You close the tab, and that tiny decision starts changing almost everything. Because once you stop trying to look wealthy, you can finally start thinking like people who plan to stay wealthy. Monday morning, one of your coworkers pulls into the parking lot in a brand new SUV. He gets out smiling. Everyone notices. At lunch, he tells you the payment, $940 a month. Then he asks when you're finally replacing your old car. You laugh. That evening, you stop at a dealership anyway. The salesman walks you toward a new model. Leather seats, big screen, perfect paint, monthly payment, $860. You can afford it. That's exactly why it's tempting. Then you look through the showroom window at your old car, paid off, still running, still getting you home. You leave. The next morning, the $860 stays in your account. Then the next month. Then the next. Nothing about your life looks richer. But something underneath it is starting to change. You are no longer asking your income to prove anything. You're asking it to build something. And soon, that decision creates a much bigger opportunity. 6 months later, your landlord emails you. Rent is going up again, so you start looking at houses. The bank says you can borrow far more than you expected. You almost take that as permission. The first house is beautiful, huge kitchen, extra bedroom, perfect neighborhood. And almost every dollar of your monthly income would have a job before it even reached your account. Mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance. You stand in the kitchen imagining your life there. Then your phone buzzes. A friend sends you another property, smaller, older, less impressive, and far cheaper. You visit it. The kitchen is boring. The garden needs work. Nobody is going to be jealous of it. But after the payment, you would still have room to save, to invest, to take risks, to say no. So you buy the smaller house. For the first time, you understand that affordability and approval are not the same thing. The bank told you how much you could borrow. You decided how much freedom you wanted to keep, and that freedom becomes useful sooner than you expect. A year later, your company announces layoffs. The office changes instantly. People whisper near the coffee machine. One coworker is checking mortgage calculators. Another is applying for jobs during lunch. Then your manager asks you to step into a meeting room. Your position is safe, for now. You walk back to your desk and realize something strange. You are worried, but you are not trapped. Your lifestyle never expanded to consume every raise. Your car is paid off. Your house is manageable. You have cash. You have investments. You have time. The decisions that made you look less successful now make you harder to control. That is when the whole idea clicks. Real wealth is not always what lets you buy more. Sometimes it is what lets you need less. But then you make the mistake of thinking this means you should never spend money. That lesson comes at an airport. Your flight gets canceled. The next one leaves tomorrow morning. The airline gives you a meal voucher and an apology. You find the cheapest hotel 15 minutes away. Then you notice another option. It costs 3 times as much. It is connected directly to the terminal. You hesitate. A year ago, expensive meant irresponsible. Now you ask a different question. What are you actually buying? The cheap hotel saves you $180, but it adds 2 taxi rides, an earlier alarm, and another hour of uncertainty. You book the expensive room. 10 minutes later, you are upstairs. Laptop open, dinner ordered, alarm set, and you realize the rule was never spend less. It was know what you are buying. Status is expensive when it buys attention. Convenience can be cheap when it buys time. That difference changes how you start looking at almost everything, including people. A few weeks later, you're at dinner with friends. Someone starts talking about watches, then cars, then a new private club. Eventually, the table turns to you. What are you into now? A year ago, you would have had an answer ready. Now you shrug. Not much. What you don't mention is the account you've been building, the small business investment, the property, the automatic transfers that happen every month. Your financial life has become more interesting at exactly the same time it becomes less visible. One friend thinks you're being boring. Another jokes that you're getting cheap. You let them because something unexpected has happened. The less you explain your money, the less other people can design your lifestyle for you. And soon, privacy starts helping you in a place where money usually makes people louder. You walk into a small business meeting wearing the same jacket you've had for years. The owner is selling. The broker assumes you're just another curious buyer. That works in your favor. Nobody gives you the polished version. The owner complains about staffing. The manager mentions equipment that needs replacing. You notice 2 customers leave while waiting. Then the broker finally asks how you plan to finance the deal. You open your laptop, show proof of funds. The room goes quiet for half a second. Now they know. The conversation changes, but you already heard the part they would have hidden if they knew earlier. That is when privacy stops feeling like modesty. It starts feeling like information. If people don't know what you can afford, sometimes they show you the real price, the real problem, the real version of themselves. But there is one more shift, and it has almost nothing to do with saving money. Years pass. Your account grows. Then one afternoon, your nephew asks you a simple question. What are you saving all this for? You almost give him the normal answer. Retirement, security, freedom. But none of them feels complete anymore. So you open a folder. Inside are boring documents, insurance, investments, property records, instructions, accounts, a plan for what happens if you are not around to explain any of it. 5 years ago, you thought wealth meant reaching a number. Now you're thinking about what happens after you. Who owns what? Who controls it? Who understands it? What survives? That is the final change. Your time horizon gets longer than your own life. You stop thinking like every dollar exists to improve this year. Some of it exists to protect the next 20. Some of it might exist for people who haven't even been born yet. And suddenly, old money makes a lot more sense. Not the clothes, not the house, not the car, the time horizon. Then one Friday afternoon, you walk past the same watch store from the beginning. The watch is still there. A newer version now, more expensive. You walk inside. The salesman places it on your wrist. It looks good. You check the price. You could buy it without changing a single plan. No financing, no sacrifice, no guilt. You look at it for a few seconds, then take it off. Maybe you'll buy it someday. Maybe you won't. And that is the part that changed most. At the beginning, you wanted the watch because you thought it would make you feel wealthy. Now you can afford it, and you no longer need it to. You still spend money. You still enjoy things, but the order has changed. Assets before appearance, freedom before approval, time before status, privacy before performance, and decades before days. You didn't inherit old money. You just started thinking further ahead. And once you did, everything else started changing with it.